for those who don't call, I'm Chris Pappalardo. I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina. Jay is at Inman right now, so I'm your fill-in. And I want to talk about some mindset. We've been getting amazing tactics, okay? And with as we know, there are two parts to succeeding in life. Number one is our mindset around it, and number two is actions. And I thought, well, as the bowl coach, well, let's talk about the mindset piece. And because we're getting a lot of good things, like the class last week on doing buyer scenarios was great. And we have all these things. And Jim just mentioned all these agents creating all these messes and sighing and having challenges, because we have to create messes. We have to create challenges to grow. And our mindset around that is so important. It's critical. Okay. It's the system that makes the ordinary extraordinary. So I wanted to go through a couple tools with you guys today on mindset as we go through and life happens. Fair enough? That's my goal, to give you guys a couple mindsets. So if you wake up and you're grumpy, not feeling great, or you're having a part of your day, you're just like, woo, I'm negging out. Okay. I've got some tools for you that I want to share that have helped our team that we use, and they're foundational things that you can use all the time. I'm going to use two sources for this conversation. The first one is from the book, The Gap and the Gain. Okay, the book, The Gap and the Gain. It's by Dan Sullivan. It's a fantastic book. And I want to get you guys this concept, okay? Concepts. You may want to take a couple notes on this. And I want you to think about what we're going to do is we're going to start measuring from the gain versus the gap. Our bodies, our minds, we default position desire to actually measure things from the gap. The gap is like the horizon when the sun is going down. Can you ever catch the sun going down on the horizon? Anybody? Can you ever catch it? Give me some emojis. Give me a no. Give me some, right? Do you ever catch that? Right? So if you, and we do, our minds go and measure our results based on this horizon, based on this goal, based on this place that we're going to, that quite frankly, we're never going to touch. Now, if you knew you were never going to touch that horizon, does that feel good? You know what's even scarier is sometimes we input somebody else's horizon. We look at our neighbor, we look at our friends, we look at agents that have been doing it more than us. You know, we look at everybody else that seems like they're succeeding at a high level, and we look at their horizon and go, man, I'm not there. How can I get there? Does that feel good? Everybody guilty of that? Oh, if we say that, if I just knew more, if I could be like that, if I had what they had, right? That horizon keeps moving out. So the challenge is our minds want to go and look at the gap, of where we are to where we're going. And in reality, if you all want to feel more grateful, you want to measure from the gain. For new agents, where was your business 6 months ago? If you're learning LP Mama for the first time and it's 3 months from when you first started, are you better at it now than you were 3 months ago? Right? For agents on this call, how much more do you know now than you didn't know 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 2 years ago, 5 years ago? See, when you learn to measure from the gain of where you were to where you're going, how many of you are better off now than you were 5 years ago, 3 years ago, a year ago? Now, when you're going through challenges, that can be hard to look at because you're in the thick of it, okay? So my first tool for you is when you're having lack mindsets, ask yourself, am I looking at the gap or am I measuring it from the gain? And if you go back and find yourself earlier in life, earlier in times, you'll find spots where you can measure and say, man, I am better than I was. I'm not where I desire to be. However, I'm better than I was. Simply reflect on what you've accomplished to this point, not what you haven't accomplished. Do you guys get that? All right, before we move on to the next piece, I want to make sure we solidify this. What are your ahas? What did you hear me say? Somebody come on and repeat it back to me so I feel really good. Come on, help me out.
Look at the gains. It could be small, but they could be compounded.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's this whole goal of 1% better every day. That's it. A little bit better every day. Did we learn something? All right. Now, the second piece to that is this, and I'm not sure if my wife's on the call. My wife, when I talk about mindset, oh, she's on here. So when I first got into mindset and I first started talking about it and doing it as a bold student and then a bold coach, she would say to me, Chris, I love all this who we do stuff. I need concrete examples, right? I need specifics, man. You just got to I need it in concrete form. So I'm going to give you guys a concrete form. And I'm going to give you a page that helped our team during the pandemic, and it still helps us today. And I'm going to recommend, if you don't have this, we're going to email it out to you, and we're going to share with you. Can everybody see my Life Happens piece of paper? All right. Now, this is out of page 185 in the one thing, okay? However, this has been a foundational document since Keller Williams was created. This form of this document is in 6 Personal Perspectives. It's in Quantum Leap. It is a foundational piece. So during the pandemic in 2020, I asked every single member of our team to print out this document because I couldn't see them in person. I asked them to print this document out and put it beside their computer because life was happening. So I want to take you guys back to the pandemic, and what was, and I mean good about the pandemic was, unless you were 115 or 16 years old, you'd never been through a pandemic. So everybody in the world was going through something for the first time. Think about the last time that's happened in our world, not just our society, but our world, where we can all say, I know life pre-COVID. Nobody had been through a pandemic. So we were all in the same storm. And none of us had a playbook for that storm. Okay? So I had everybody print this document. And life was happening to all of us. And this is a tool because you have to make a decision when life happens. You have to make a decision on your mindset and which way you want to react. Now, first off, when life happens, you have to acknowledge it. You have to own it. It could be awful. It could be horrible. Woo! And you have to just be terrified, be afraid, be scared, be elated if it's positive. Whatever it is, be that in the moment. And then you, my friends, get to make a decision. Do you choose to be an accountable person, or do you choose to be a victim? And I said that wrong. Let me back up. Let me rewind. Do you choose to act like a victim? Because nobody here's a victim. Our actions define if we're acting like a victim or if we're acting like somebody who's accountable, and they can always change. And we're all going to act like victims sometimes, and we're all going to act accountable sometimes. The important part is knowing where you are in that. So when life happened, called COVID, we had some people, and let's go down the tree together. You had some people who were like, they avoided reality. They're like, they didn't ask any questions about it. They're like, I got to hunker down. I'm going to hunker down, right? Then the second stage of that is they fight reality. No, it's not true. We're going to be out of this in no time. This isn't real. It's a government hoax, whatever. And then blame happens. See if you've ever made these statements, right? If everybody else would just do their job, if the government would have done their job, if the Chinese would have not let people in here, if they planned for this ahead of time, they should have known. Somebody is to blame, and it's certainly not me. Then the personal excuses show up as not my job. Nope, not my fault, right? It's not my job to deal with this. It's the government's. It's somebody else. Then the last one, which you've all heard, is the scariest one of all. We had people who waited and hoped. I hope this is going to be okay. Now, we were in a market. We were one of the few counties, in North Carolina, where they made us non-essential. For a lot of you guys, you were essential. You could show houses during the pandemic. We couldn't. We were not legally allowed to walk in a house. We were one, I think 3 counties in all of North Carolina where they deemed us non-essential. So we had people from Alamance County and Forsyth County right next to us attempting to show houses on our homes, and we had to say, sorry, you can't come in. Oh, and we can't leave to go show houses in Alamance County or Forsyth County because that'd be breaking the law. Joy, joy. Funny thing is, we sold houses. We actually sold a lot of houses that 3 weeks that we weren't allowed to be in houses because, see, we became accountable. And we didn't have this wait and hope thing. I looked at our team. I said, print this piece of paper. We're not going to have a vaccine for at least a year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a year of our lives, minimum. This is our reality. So we went up the cycle and we said, well, what's really happening? Well, we've got a pandemic. Nobody's dealt with it. We aren't allowed to walk in homes. So this is the way it is. So what are we going to do about it? Right? If it's to be, it's up to me. We put plans in place. We had buyers and sellers with agents FaceTiming, walking through houses. We built a sight unseen addendum that we'd never had before. We learned about this thing called Zoom, which we'd never experienced before. Right? What can I do? We found solutions, and then we went up, and then we got on with it. We got after it. Now, what's interesting is, and I know if you're on this call, you want to be in control. Anybody here not want to be in control? Just make sure, right? Because sometimes we're like, no, let somebody else decide. So on the left side of this document, where it says, on the bottom, where it says acting like a victim, that is where you have no power. You are giving all the decisions and all the control when you avoid reality, when you fight reality, when you blame, you give personal excuses, when you wait and hope. You are saying somebody else is deciding my future and deciding if I'm going to be successful or not. You're giving all your power away. How's that feel? Do you enjoy that? Does that feel okay? You like living there? Somebody else decides your future for you. You get what they give you. Now, what's interesting is the minute you go up to the accountable side, you just took all, not some, you just took all the control back, because you decide the way it is. You decide if it's to be, it's up to me. You decide what you can do, and you get on with it. And you're gonna get a result. And any result leads to the next action. And then that next action is decided by you. We're going to have lots of people telling us the market is bad. We're going to have lots of people telling us that, oh, sales are going to be down 30, 40%. Buyers are saying different things. Sellers are saying not wanting to fix up stuff. They don't know what's going on. We're going to have all the reasons and excuses in the world to not succeed. And yet, as the pandemic showed us anything, it showed us there are people that will move even in the fear of dying. We had people calling us and had to move in a pandemic where they were told if they get around people, they could die, and they still bought and sold houses. So we have to find the motivated now that need to buy and sell houses, and there's plenty of them if we go and find them and find new ways to communicate with them, provide value. It's up to us to be the service providers, and we control that. So when life happens, acknowledge it. Number one, acknowledge if it's not good, man, and then ask yourself these questions. Which things am I saying? Just acknowledge it. Because so you can hopscotch from, if everybody else would do their job, you can go, whoa, did I just say that? Wait a minute, what can I do about it? You can instantly skip up to taking control. Another version of this is called extreme ownership. When you take extreme ownership of everything and you put on your shoulders, you can't lose. Because as long as you show up and keep doing the work, you get it. So my suggestion is, if you get a negative mindset, print this document, look at it and say, how am I talking to myself? What questions am I asking? What am I saying? And that'll tell you which side of the quadrant it all. Now, the other last piece of this is on the bottom, the victim, where you have no control. We also call that status quo. That's where 80% of the world lives, man. What I'm given is what I get. It's called status quo. The top half, the accountable person, the accountable people that are acting with accountability and taking ownership, it's life by design. Because you decide what it'll be. Anybody here have those things like new agents? Oh, I can't talk to anybody. I don't have business cards. Oh, I can't do anything. I don't have my website up. I mean, we can go on for days. DocuSign's down. I can't do my job. What if you had to find a way to get it done? I bet you would. We will get done what we desire to get done. We're going to be coming into a new market where we need new tools, new technology, new conversations, and we choose the outcomes we desire, and we choose our attitude. Once you realize that you have all the power inside you to get wherever you want to go, and what's even better is we have a culture and an environment of people that will help us, as long as we ask for help, we can't lose. But you have to decide, are you acting like a victim today and waiting and hoping? Or if it's to be, it's up to you, and get on with it. Just make a decision. So first tool, measure from the gain to where you are. And then when life happens, how are you acting? What questions are you asking? What actions are you taking to succeed at a high level? All right. What questions do you have? What ahas did you have? What do you got for me?
Hey, Chris. Good morning. And
hey, good morning, Brian.
yep, thanks for filling in there and bringing this to us. You know, that's super common, I think, for people to slide into that victim mentality or into that. And I don't really think that that's a bad thing. It's just the ability to acknowledge it and kind of pump the brakes and then go back and say, okay. And then, you know, pointing that out to, like, when you get to that one point and it's like, all right, let's go ahead and right this ship. What am I going to do about it? It's kind of like the, yeah, that sucks, but now what?
Exactly right, Brian. Thank you. And that's the point for the sheet. We had people on our team, they had days when they're like, man, I can't get out of victim side. I just can't do it. Cool. We acknowledge it. Okay, great. You know, let's help you. But just acknowledge it. Because if you know where you are, we can improve. Exactly right. You're not going to not get there. Thank you. However, we can choose to change it once we know we're there. Right? Who else? What else you got?
Hey, this is Charity. I just want to add on to what Brian said. It's surprising, I think, to a lot of us, once you make that decision that he mentioned, how quickly things start to move in a positive direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Charity, thanks. Now, again, I'm hearing my inner Amy. She says, like, what are you talking about? So how many of you here have had that moment in life when you got so sick and tired or fed up, you said, this is it. I'm done. I'm changing. No more. Anybody have that experience? And the minute you decided that, boom, things were different. Anybody have that? Isn't that amazing when you make that switch from, like, enough's enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's what we're talking about. And this form just helps you get there quicker, right? You just realize and go, oh, there it is. What are we gonna do? Rucker, what you got, sir?
I'd like to add, like, that, I don't know, pain is a great motivator, right? So when, like, the fear of staying the same outweighs the fear of change, like, you'll make the change. And I've been at that spot where what I was doing wasn't working and it wasn't moving me where I needed to go. And I had a couple breakdowns last year. But like you said, like, that fed up changed the mindset, which was like, I'm going to go after it no matter what it takes. And things changed. Like, they didn't change all at once, but things started happening in a different way. Like, I can only control the activities. I couldn't control the outcomes. And once I realized that, it freed up so much anxiety and stress about where my next paycheck was coming from. And I had more confidence going into it with scripting, with coaching, with everybody around me. And that's just due to being at place. Like, I can only contribute that to that.
Yeah, love it. It's so true, because you took ownership. Sharon, what you got?
So I like that reminder of the page and one thing. We've been talking about this a lot as a team, because we've seen a lot of this with the market shift. You know, I think all of this really, really applies to this market shift. And you're seeing, like, agents that are falling off or not able to, you know, stay in the business. And we kind of all had that moment there when it did shift. It was kind of like, where's the leads? What's going on? You know, what's happening? And then when we started talking about the actions that we needed to take in this market, and the agents that listened are the ones that are, you know, being very successful right now because they're taking the action and not being the victim and waiting for something to fall in their lap. They're taking the action and making it happen.
Yeah, great. And you know, what I love is, again, you're going to have these. We use this document as just a way to rebound quicker, right? So it doesn't have to, ideally, you don't want it to get all the way down to that so fed up that, you know, it gets to that point. You can rebound quicker. The other thing is somebody put in the chat, which I love, and it's true, is, you know, when Rucker did that, that energy motivated others. So when you have that, people are watching, they're paying attention. When they see you being accountable, it affects all those around you. It becomes infectious, you know, and it's just an added benefit and an added bonus, you know. Oh, I love it. All right, we're almost at time, so let's get 2 more ahas or questions, and then we'll get you guys rolling for the day.
Chris, I'll go. So I'm in my car and I just dropped my son off at school. So he has had the benefit of listening to this the entire time as well. And so I used to say to him pretty constantly, the only thing you can control is your action and your reaction. However, I had never thought of it differently until this last bold with you. And I started changing the way I was talking and saying, it's not your reaction, it's your response. Because that reaction sometimes can be that just internal instinct to go to the negative or to be ticked off or to want to blame somebody else. But the response and how you control it and what you do is the thing that you can control. And so we've had that mind shift. And as you were talking and he was hearing this, he was looking at me and kind of this light bulb went on for him in realizing the way I had changed from saying reaction to response. And I could see like him tuning in and nodding his head this whole time. So thank you for sharing the lesson with my child this morning as well.
Oh man, my pleasure. That gives me goosebumps. Thank you. Yeah, what Terry's referring to is you can't control the first thought that pops in your head. That's called the reaction, right? We all have just crazy thoughts that pop in our head. That's the unconscious mind. And somehow we think, well, if the unconscious thought's there, that's the real thought. No, there's a moment between reaction and your actual response. There's a pause, and you cannot take the bait on that thought. You can go, you know what? I'm not going to choose to take that. And then you can give your response later. And when you have time to actually think about it, we all have these things that just pop in our head. You can't control that. You can't control the reaction. You can control, wait, let me respond after I've had time to think and breathe. Okay. All right. One more. Thank you guys. This has been great. You guys have helped me so much this morning. Thank you. My energy is just through the roof. So seriously, thank you so much. One more. Are we good? We're all done? Anybody else got something they want to share? As I say, here's how you pivot everywhere. People need to hear what you're saying. Oh, I heard somebody come off mute. Ruby, is that you?
This is me. Chris, that was just absolutely phenomenal. I sure hope you recorded this because I couldn't write fast enough. This was really good.
Well, I'm glad. Amanda put the sheet in the chat as well. And like I said, for those of you who are having challenges or whenever, just print it out, look at it so you can just remind yourself, well, which language am I using? And then choose to just change the language and get after it. And last thing I'll say is, ladies and gentlemen, we all need the reminder that if we want to go fast, go alone. If we want to go far, go together. As we have challenges, it's not weak to ask for help. In fact, that's how we succeed. When you have breakdowns, when you share, we will help. None of us on this call are mind readers. None of us are mind readers. We're all trainable to help others. So please, we're going to have breakdowns. Share with others and let us all help you and let us prove to you that that's what we're going to do. Okay? Just like these calls. That's the last thing I've got.
Chris, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you guys. Thanks for Jay
Thank
for letting me
you.
jump on and be your coach today. And again, on that note, reach out to Amanda if y'all need help. Anybody needs anything, please ask. We're here to help and here to support you guys in any way we can. And good morning, Thursday in the Carolinas. Have a great day.
Thanks, Chris.
See you guys next time.